Leah and Daniel had just celebrated their second wedding anniversary. At 26, Leah was significantly younger than her husband, Daniel, who was already in his 40s. Leah had been attracted to Daniel primarily because of his wealth and social standing. He was a successful businessman with several profitable ventures that brought in a substantial income. To most, Daniel might not have seemed particularly remarkable. He dressed modestly and was not conventionally attractive. If their paths had crossed under different circumstances, Leah likely wouldn't have given him a second glance. Leah had worked as a model for a few years, during which she had grown accustomed to a life of luxury. She was selective about the companies she kept, often associating with people who matched her standards of wealth and status. When Daniel first approached her in a cafe, Leah barely acknowledged him, dismissing him almost immediately. It wasn't until she noticed his expensive car parked outside that her interest was piqued. Shortly afterward, she reached out to him herself, reconsidering her initial dismissal. After their wedding, Daniel asked Leah to quit her modeling career, and she was more than willing to comply. He provided for her entirely, and she enjoyed the life of ease and luxury that she had always desired. Leah didn't have to work, and her days were filled with leisure activities. It was clear to anyone observing their relationship that Leah's feelings for Daniel were not rooted in love. He lacked charm, his balding head was unappealing, and Leah often felt embarrassed to be seen in public with him. Instead, she preferred to spend her time with her girlfriends at upscale restaurants and spas, enjoying the leisurely lifestyle Daniel's money afforded her. One day, while dining at a restaurant with her friends, Leah met Julian, an athletic and strikingly handsome young man. Leah was immediately drawn to him. Unlike her husband, Julian had an impressive physique, which clearly showed his dedication to fitness, and he exuded the kind of youthful energy and attractiveness that Daniel lacked. Leah, who always removed her wedding ring when she went out without Daniel, flirted openly with Julian. Unaware that she was married, Julian was equally intrigued. Before the evening was over, Leah had given him her phone number, and this marked the beginning of their secret affair. Leah and Julian's relationship progressed quickly. They communicated regularly, exchanging calls and messages, which soon led to romantic dates. Their meetings became more intimate, often taking place at Julian's apartment or in a hotel. Despite their growing closeness, Leah was careful never to stay the night. She always insisted on returning home, telling Julian she preferred sleeping in her own bed. Julian, smitten by her beauty and charm, never suspected that she had a husband waiting for her at home. When Daniel left for an extended business trip, Leah saw it as the perfect opportunity to spend more time with Julian. Telling her friends that she was going on a short vacation with them, Leah instead whisked Julian away to a luxurious resort for a romantic weekend. They had a wonderful time together. But even during this trip, Leah maintained her careful lies, making sure her story was flawless, so that Daniel would remain in the dark about her affair. To Leah, the relationship with Julian was nothing more than a casual fling. She enjoyed the excitement and the attention he gave her, but she never considered it to be anything more than a secret indulgence. She had no desire for anything serious, especially since Daniel provided her with the luxurious lifestyle she craved. But for Julian, things were different. Over the 4 months they had been seeing each other, his feelings for Leah had grown deeper. What had started as a carefree and casual relationship had become something far more serious in his eyes. One evening, after another intimate encounter, Julian and Leah were lying together in bed. As they lay there, Julian took Leah's hand, his voice soft but serious. "Why don't you move in with me?" he asked, his eyes filled with sincerity. Leah froze. She hadn't expected this. She blinked rapidly, her mind racing. Julian's offer should have brought her joy, but instead, a wave of disappointment washed over her. Moving in with Julian would disrupt the careful balance she had maintained, and it was clear in that moment that Julian's feelings had deepened in a way hers never would. Leah and Julian's relationship had been casual and carefree. Leah was only interested in having fun and wasn't looking for anything serious, but Julian's unexpected proposal for a more committed relationship changed everything. After that moment, Leah started to pull away. She replied to his messages less frequently, ignored his calls, and often claimed she was too busy to talk. Julian, initially unaware of what was really going on, tried to understand her behavior. He thought it could be mood swings or just her being genuinely busy. However, one day, when Julian asked her directly what was wrong, Leah ended the relationship abruptly through a text message. She didn't offer any explanation, and before Julian could even process what had happened, she blocked him on all platforms. The sudden end to their relationship left Julian confused and heartbroken. He couldn't understand how everything had fallen apart so quickly when, from his perspective, things were going well. They had shared enjoyable moments together and seemed comfortable in each other's company. Yet, as soon as he had hinted at something more serious, Leah had disappeared. For the next few weeks, Julian couldn't stop thinking about the breakup. He had invested so much time and effort into the relationship, only for it to end without a clear reason. One day, he met up with his old friend Sebastian, who worked at a bank. Julian hadn't seen Sebastian in months, having spent most of his free time with Leah. As they sat together, Julian vented his frustration. "Can you imagine? She dumped me like a stray puppy," he said, sipping his beer. Sebastian hesitated for a moment, unsure whether he should reveal what he knew. But then, after some contemplation, he decided to share the truth. "You know, I work at a bank," Sebastian began. "Just the other day, one of our big clients came in with his wife. I recognized her immediately. I've seen pictures of Leah before." Julian, now intrigued, urged Sebastian to continue. That's when Sebastian dropped the bombshell. Leah was married. Julian felt like he had been submerged in water, completely blindsided. How had he missed such an important detail? He immediately asked Sebastian for her husband's phone number, desperate to confront him. Sebastian was taken aback. "But that's against our company's internal rules," he replied, clearly uncomfortable with the request. However, after seeing Julian's determination, he reluctantly gave in and provided the contact information. Seething with anger and driven by the desire for revenge, Julian decided to call Leah's husband Daniel and expose her infidelity. He made several attempts to reach Daniel, but the calls were cut off. Frustrated, Julian sent a detailed text message outlining Leah's betrayal, attaching all the proof he had gathered, their photos together, their correspondence, and even tickets for a trip they had planned. Julian felt satisfied after sending the message, confident that Leah would finally face the consequences of her deceit. What Julian didn't know was that Leah had been the first to see the message. Her husband's phone was always in plain sight at home, and when the message came in, Leah quickly seized the opportunity to delete it before Daniel could read it. She also blocked Julian's number to prevent any further contact. Daniel remained completely unaware of her affair. A month passed, and Julian assumed that Leah had been caught and kicked out of her home in disgrace. He believed she had received the punishment she deserved. Just when he thought he was finally moving on, fate had other plans. After a particularly successful day at work, Julian decided to treat himself to dinner at his favorite restaurant. To his shock, he saw Leah there, sitting at a table with her husband. Fury surged through Julian. Deep down, he had never forgiven Leah for what she had done, and he still craved revenge. Without hesitation, he walked over to their table, grabbed a chair, and sat down next to them. "What do you want?" Daniel asked, clearly surprised by Julian's bold approach. "My name is Julian," he said with a smug smile. "Didn't you get my message about your wife?" Daniel, confused, looked at Julian and asked, "What message?" Before security could intervene, Julian pulled out his phone and showed Daniel all the evidence he had, the photos, the messages, and the trip tickets. Daniel's face turned pale as he realized his wife had been unfaithful for months. Leah, sitting in shock, could not offer any defense. "I had no idea she was married," Julian said, standing up. "I hope you do the sensible thing." With that, he left the restaurant, satisfied that he had finally exposed Leah's lies. Daniel, after seeing the undeniable evidence, didn't believe Leah's excuses. He filed for divorce soon after, and Leah's world came crashing down. She lost her luxurious home, access to wealth, and the carefree life she had enjoyed. Although she managed to secure some money through legal means, her lavish lifestyle quickly depleted her funds. Leah tried to resume her modeling career, but the major runway shows no longer wanted her. She had to settle for a regular job, though she continued chasing after wealthy men, hoping to regain the life she had lost. Unfortunately for Leah, her pursuit of riches often led her into the hands of fraudsters who deceived her with promises of wealth and success. Fate, it seemed, had more lessons to teach her about the consequences of her actions.